Hey everybody, how you doing today? Thank you for joining me here. It's a rainy, thunderous day in Bangkok. I thought this would be a very interesting conversation. So nobody tells you what it really feels like to live abroad until you are already on a plane. And 10,000 miles later, a few things will catch up to you. Hey everybody, it's Troy, so Winding Down Chronicles. I've been living abroad for over 30 years, and I've talked to hundreds of expats, fellow expats. I've read a lot of blogs, international blogs, and I've watched a lot of videos of people who do live abroad. And most of us carry a handful of regrets once we go overseas. And in today's video, I'd like to talk through the 7 biggest regrets people face when living overseas. And I'll tell you how I've wrestled with each one of them. So I hope you can hear me. There's thunder in the background. It's really nice. Nice cool breeze coming upon me right now. So the first one is missing home and loved ones. So this is a culmination of different articles and blogs. So missing home and loved ones, number 1. So being away sounds exciting until you start missing birthdays, funerals, random your random meetups with friends. I think this is probably easier. I would assume that this is easier these days with the internet and the way you can keep in touch with family, on an instant. But when I went overseas, even if you're physically away, you could still probably attend things virtually. Like, for example, I'll be having my wedding, and I don't expect any of my family to be flying to Bangkok to have that to join me, but we're going to have it live online for family to attend virtually at the convenience of their own home, and hopefully they'll send me what it would cost them to come here as a gift. I don't know. I'm just joking, kind of. But when I first traveled overseas, I was in the 90s. I can't believe how difficult it was. I was really excited to leave. I went in the Peace Corps, and I was in rural Africa. But I left my family, and I didn't see them for 3 years. And I missed birthdays. I missed my family, the family reunions, and I'm laying in a mud hut in the middle of a jungle, not even a jungle, in the middle of a desert. I'm laying on a mat in a mud hut, like for Christmas, for New Year's. Once in a while, I would go see some other Peace Corps volunteers that were in the city, but we would try to get together for the bigger holidays. That's how we coped. But I missed my closest friends' weddings. I missed their reunions. I think my first reunion when I went back was 15 years. Not that was a big deal. I think at first it was. There was some nostalgia there. But it was, I didn't hear my mom's voice until I did a piggyback from someone's phone call to Africa when I was in Mali. As soon as I heard my mom's voice, I broke out crying. First time I didn't speak to her in 4 months. She was calling me. We couldn't keep it long because it was super expensive. It was several $100s just to call me for like 5-10 minutes in Africa back then in 1994. So you're gonna miss those things with family. But I think you can join in on them virtually these days. So that one may not be as big of a deal these days, but it will still happen. Number 2, work and money problems. So about a quarter of the expats say they regret not planning their job or income better before moving. So did you ever struggle with income and losing a job when you were overseas? When I went to visit what inspired me to go overseas in the first place was my best friend at the time. He went to Venezuela right after college, and he lived in Caracas, and I went to visit him while I was working as an auditor for the state. and I went to visit him. He was living in a shithole in a very dangerous part of Caracas. I think the nickname of the street was called Stab Alley. But he was living in a shithole in the basement, rats and everything everywhere. He's teaching the English. He was barely making an income, but he was just covering his costs. And I was so excited for this. I'm like, I want to do this. I mean, dude, this is awesome. You're living. He's like, I'm living like a poor person, but you're living. It's exciting, and that's really what I was inspired for. But he managed for I think a year and a half, and then he met his wife there and took her back to the States. But I said I don't think I could take that much of a risk just to go and try and look for another job, especially when I don't speak another language. So he said, why don't you try Peace Corps? So I did Peace Corps, and so everywhere I've always gone, I've had a job. So I never really had that problem with money. The problem I had was I should have invested it better, and I didn't. But I can't do anything about that now. But yeah, people running out of money. You know, one of the proverbs in Proverbs is a fool who doesn't count the cost of building a house is a fool. No, the man who doesn't count the cost of building a house is a fool. So know how much money you're going to need. Be realistic. Don't be idealistic. Number 3, loneliness and isolation. A new country, a new you. You have an opportunity to become someone different. You know, change your personality. I don't think that really happens. I don't think you really change your personality unless you're maybe psychopath or sociopath. But making friends abroad is harder than you expected. And culture shock is real. It's real. And you know, Africa, it was major. It was culture shock to the nth degree. The only way that made it manageable was I would get together with by chance, with some of the other Peace Corps volunteers I knew in the city. We got some rain coming in here. It's coming down heavy. Every time I come out here, it just starts raining a little too much. So isolation, you're not gonna. It's hard to get into a relationship with people in different cultures, and pitay ka. It is hard to make friends, especially if you are an introvert. I'm an introvert. Most of the places I've gone, my friends were my colleagues. This is the first time in my career where my colleagues are not my friends, and I'm okay with that. I live in a big city, so everybody just kind of goes home. We're social, we get along, for the most part, not always, but it's not easy. At my last job, fortunately, I have a few close Lao friends. So when I do go back, and they are from my previous job, so when I do go back, I will have them. And there are one or two expats there too that I can reconnect with when I go back. But don't underestimate the culture shock. It is real. I don't feel like I have that culture shock anymore. I've been here too long. I've been abroad too long. But when I first went abroad to Africa, ooh, doggy, it was difficult. It was really difficult. The holidays. Missing the holidays, missing to relate to people. Just, you know, there's no other Americans. I've not worked with an American in more than 10 years. And but the one guy who did leave the job I'm in now, it was nice to have some banter, speaking some slang, you know, some sarcastic things in the office, and him and I were the only ones that get it. That is fun. But when you're alone and it's not part of their culture, so my wife's culture, I don't really see the sarcasm. I don't think she understands sarcasm, at least in English. But number 4, reverse culture shock. Coming home can feel more alien than it did leaving. You change, but your old self doesn't, and most of the people you know, your family and friends, won't change. They haven't changed. And this is absolutely true, and this is absolutely difficult to work through. Here I am, even when I initially went back to the States after coming back from Africa after 3 years, nobody cares. You might get some superficial question, how's Africa? And then you start to tell some stories. I have some nutty stories, some amazing stories. Nobody cares. Nobody cares long enough to even listen to you for a few minutes before they're talking about their problems, and you're like, for them, for the most part, you can pick up right where you left off 5 years ago when you saw them last. But they can't relate. They can't relate to what you've been in, and I think I've lived a very unusual life. The places I've lived, the context, the situations, dangerous situations, difficult contexts, difficult people, dangerous situations, completely different cultures, and nobody cares. They don't. That doesn't mean they don't love me, but it is frustrating. Now it was hard at first. The first couple years going home, I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody asks you anything, and they don't listen more than 5 minutes before they're off on something else and trying to tell you stories about their kids or the latest dispute at school or something. Anyway, it's real. The reverse culture shock. And you don't really fit in, and I feel like I don't fit into the U.S. anymore. I can adapt. My wife would have a hard time. She's pretty flexible, but she would have a hard time. Anyway, number 5, visa logistics and legal surprises. So some regret not checking the fine print when you move to another country. The wrong visa can kill your plans or trap you in limbo. Again, most of the work situations I've been in, I'm getting sprayed on. Most of the work situations I've been in, all of them, they take care of my visa. I just have to sign a bunch of papers or go to immigration to sign the papers, let them see me. But for the most part, I don't have any issues like that. But that's going to change when I retire. Oh, really coming in now. But that's really going to... Everybody, I had to come inside because it was really spritzing. Now it's slowing down again. So let me finish this up here. So I was saying, that's going to retire. That's going to change. The visa issue is going to change when I go back to Laos. I'm going to have to manage that. I'm going to have to get a retirement or a marriage visa and probably renew that. All the costs are going to be on my own. And, that's an advantage what you have if you do go work with an organization. They usually take care of all this stuff with you. Legal stuff, I don't expect any problems. My wife is Lao, so we'll just pay the taxes or whatever we have to. But the visa is going to be the big one for me. I'll have to get one. I'll still have to do that every year and renew that. And it's only slightly cheaper than doing it monthly, but at least I won't have the hassle. Number 6, losing touch with your roots. So some expats feel that they've drifted too far, forgetting their own culture, language, and even priorities. I don't know. I haven't felt that as much. There are some things that I have to re-enculturate myself in when I go back to the U.S. My father passed away, but he was sometimes difficult to understand. He spoke with a very heavy Dutch accent and U.S. Dutch accent, but I won't really face that much anymore. But I don't know if I forget anything when I go back. One of the things I do have to do is I have to remember to drive. I have to tell myself drive on the right side of the road. I have to drive on the right side of the road because where I live, we drive on the left side of the road, and the steering wheel's on the left side also. So I have to tell myself for a while when I'm back in the U.S., drive on the right side of the road, drive on the right side of the road. You're in the left passenger seat, isn't that right? Anyway, see, I'm getting mixed up as I think about it. But I don't really drive here in Bangkok. In Laos I do. But Yeah, some people lose touch with their roots. And the other thing, finally, number 7 is not making it count. A few years can go by and you ask yourself, what did I really do here? I think the hard part for me will be going from working. What did I do here? It's what I did in every country. I've worked in over 20 countries, and I've been in 5 continents, and my identity was working. I worked very intensely, and that was most of my life. So I know what I did. I mean, my job. I've been part of teams that helped millions of people over the years, and I'm not exaggerating. Millions of people, 100,000 people, several 100,000 a year, just in this job alone. So I know what I did. I did some personal stuff. I did develop some things, and I worked on some projects. But this might be more an issue for me when I retire. So living abroad so I'll just wrap up there. Living abroad can be a dream or it can be a detour. Some people say they want to go find themselves. I think that after this many years, I'm like, that's BS. You are who you are already. What you can do is become the person you want to be. I think that's a much better way to do it. Don't go find yourself. You're going to waste time. Go be who you want to be. Be the person you want to be. Instead of, and traveling can help you do that. It can bring you out of your shell. You're forced to meet people. You're forced to go out. You're forced to learn new languages. You're forced to try new things. So become that person, the very thing that caused you to go out in the first place. Don't go throw away that idea. I'm going to go find myself. I think that's bogus. Anyway, that was my personal opinion. But these regrets are not deal breakers, They are reminders to pause, plan, and pivot when necessary. So anyway, which of these regrets hit home for you? Drop a comment. Let me know. I'd love to hear your story. And if you like more real talk like this moving forward, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. I think this is a fun conversation to continue with. And maybe I'll come up with another list at another time. So thanks for joining me. Take care. God bless, and take it slow. Bonuses, plan for surprises. You're going to run out of money. You might have a problem. You might miss your family more than you thought. Plan to be resilient. Toughen yourself up. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. And that's one of the things that this living abroad can help you do. Become resilient. And know who you are, or you'll become someone else. And this is one of the things I just said. Become who you want to be. Know who you are. Don't try to find yourself. I really think that's a mistake. And be observant. Be like Jason Bourne. Be observant. Check everything out. Get your nose out of your phone and look around. You'll be surprised at what you see and what you can learn from your surroundings and other people.